Continuing on page 19 of the book Mesmerized. Ben said he needed to see for himself what Dr. Mesmer's force could do. Impossible. I can do it, Dr. Mesmer. Merci beaucoup, Charles. Ben watched a group of patients being mesmerized by Dr. Mesmer's helper, Charles. They gasped and groaned, twitched and trembled, even fell down in a faint. Then it was Ben Franklin's turn. He didn't gasp and groan or twitch and tremble. He didn't faint. In fact, he didn't feel a thing. The scientific method. Ben observed the difference between the patient's reactions and his own. Let's move to page 20. Dr. Mesmer said that l'Americain must be special. The force didn't work on him. Ben had a different idea. On page 21, what if the force was not in Dr. Mesmer's wand, but in the patient's mind? Those patients believed the force was real. They expected to tremble and twitch, to gasp and groan, and to feel better. So they did. The scientific method. Ben hypothesized that what the patients felt was caused by their own minds, not by an invisible force. On page 22. How could Ben be sure? He watched another patient being mesmerized. Charles waved his fingers near her face, and she screamed. She said she felt a burning flame. He never touched her, but wherever his hand moved, she felt the same fiery heat. On page 24 and 25, Ben asked her to try it once again, blindfolded. When Charles waved his fingers near her stomach, the patient cried out in pain. She said she felt the heat in her ear. When Charles moved behind her back, the woman shrieked that she was burning in her leg. On pages 26 and 27, Ben blindfolded another patient. Ben told him that he was being mesmerized. The patient said he felt it. Charles was not even in the room. Then Charles came back in the room. The patient didn't know he was there. Charles stared at him. He waved his fingers. He pointed his wand. This time, the patient didn't feel a thing. The scientific method. Ben tested his hypothesis by blindfolding the patients. Turning to page 28 and 29, Ben tested patient after patient, but it was always the same. If the patient expected and believed something would happen, something did, even without the force. If the patient did not expect anything to happen, nothing did, even with the force. The scientific method. The test results supported Ben's hypothesis that the so-called force did not exist. Page 30 and 31, Ben went back to the king and told him what he had seen. Moving on to page 32 and 33, soon all of Paris was abuzz again. Dr. Mesmer took his wand and fled. Turning to page 34 and 35. Not long after, Ben set sail. Bon voyage! With help from France, the revolution had been won. Now he needed to get to work on building a new nation, the United States. Of course, he planned to find a little time for science, too. Now, on pages 36 and 37, Ben's blind test was such a good idea that it is still in use. And you can take a moment to read over. Oh, actually, I will read those. Before a new medicine or treatment is approved, 2 groups of patients will try it out. One group gets the real medicine. The other gets a fake called a placebo. The patients aren't blindfolded, but they are blind in a sense because they don't know if the medicine they took is real or fake. That way, if the group that takes the real medicine does better than the placebo group, we can be sure that the difference is due to the medicine itself, not what the patient may have expected or believed. But what about people who feel better after taking a placebo? Think of Dr. Mesmer's patients. Their feelings were real, even if the force supposed to be at work wasn't. And while not all of them recovered from their illness, many did. Okay, now looking at pages 38 and 39. Although he never realized it, Dr. Mesmer had made an important discovery after all, the placebo effect. Sometimes a treatment works simply because people expect it to. Belief can be powerful medicine, and Dr. Mesmer helped his patients to believe. When he brought them into a dark, quiet room, stared into their eyes, and waved his wand, he put them in a highly focused state in which many tend to believe and do whatever they are told. Today, that state is called hypnosis. But we still use the word mesmerized when somebody seems to be in a trance. For instance, you might be so mesmerized by a cartoon that you don't hear your name when it's called. Looking at pages 40 and 41, scientists are still learning about hypnosis, the placebo effect, and many other ways our minds can help us heal. That would be no surprise to Ben Franklin. He knew that the mind could do amazing things, such as using the scientific method to find out the truth. Fin, which means finished, the end. And then there are a few pages. I will read that in the next recording. So use this recording, go back, rewind it, listen to it again if you need to, take a look at the images, any of the pictures, think about any inferences that you can make, any context clues that you can use to figure out what the words might mean. Okay?